Hello booktube, hello book friends, welcome back to my channel and another video and a final for now roundup of my favourite natural history books. I've got 5 more here from the UK and I thought I would go on location out into nature, or at least into the garden, for this final show. Hopefully the audio will be okay. I guess if you don't see this, it probably means the audio wasn't, and I had to re-record it indoors. So 5, as I say, from the UK. One that's fairly old, and 4 that are a little bit more recent. The older of the 5 is Oliver Rackham's A History of the Countryside. If you haven't read this, it's well worth a read. It can be a bit dry in places and incredibly detailed, but it is worth a read. It looks at all sorts of things from, trees, hedgerows, fields, woodland, arable land. So it really takes a proper look at the countryside of basically Britain, Great Britain, and the sort of flora and fauna that you would expect to find there. Not sure when it was. Don't know if it says. First published in 1986, so not that old, but not that recent either. Next up is Richard Mabey's Nature Cure. This, although it's a natural history book, it's also a treatise on mental health. The author suffered a fairly significant depressive episode, and this book is very much written around what happened to him at the time, how he kind of fell out of love with nature and natural history, and then fell back in love with it again as part of his recovery from the sort of depression and breakdown that he suffered. Well worth a read. Next up is a book that is as much about place as it is about natural history, and that's Benjamin Myers' Under the Rock. This is a biographical account of his time when he first moved to Hebden Bridge, and what happened to him there. It looks at the landscape around him, the habitats, the different species, but very much from a point of view of the place that he was living in. So very much recommended. And then a book that has garnered quite a lot of attention in recent years, if nothing, not so much for the topic that it's written about, but also the place that it covers, and that's Wilding by Isabella. This is the story of how Isabella and her husband basically reinvigorated, for want of a better term, their family farm when it was fairly close to kind of economic collapse, by basically rewilding it and taking it back to as close to sort of prehistory as is possible with modern species and the habitats, and it's just a fascinating book, and thoroughly recommended. And then finally, a book that I think I have mentioned on the channel maybe more than once, and that's Alastair Humphreys' Local. This was born out of a pandemic project, I suppose, for want of a better term, where the author took the Ordnance Survey map of his local area, and decided to visit as many squares on that map as he could in the course of a year. Now, our Ordnance Survey maps are split up into kilometre squares, so he was visiting as many of those kilometre squares on a map centred on his home as he possibly could. And this is basically the story of what he discovered, the wildlife, the habitats, the changing landscape, the development, everything from fly tipping to lakes and rivers and so on. And it's a brilliant book. So yeah, that's my final 5 for now. Natural history books, this time focused on the UK. If you have been, thanks for watching, and I'll speak to you again soon. Take care, bye bye.